Sit back and listen to this extremely interesting story. Dwight Yoakam, you've got your little ways to hurt me. You know just how to tear me up and leave me in small pieces on the ground. There's a million ways I can try to spin it. Truth is, that's all I'd be doing. Putting a spin on something that never should have happened, but it did happen. My name is Daryl Townsend, and I'm employed doing bridge construction design. I'm a regular speaker on the agenda for a few organizers who like to milk local governments. About every other month, I'm on the road to some convention center. My company benefits greatly from the referrals I gather at these events. As such, I'm knocking down more money than I'd ever dreamed possible. I've been married for 5 years to Peggy, who I began dating my senior year in college. She'd graduated but was taking additional classes to further her nursing goals. She successfully completed the requirements and is now working at the hospital and is also making good money. We bought our first house about 2 years ago and live in a very upscale gated community. Dual income, no kids describes us perfectly. Children are in our long-range goals, but neither of us seems to be eager to change our lifestyle of lavish vacations and the party circuit. Now I know this sounds like I'm making excuses, but well, I guess I am. My week started poorly as I'd contracted some kind of food poisoning on Wednesday. After spending most of early morning hours of Thursday waiting in the emergency room, I got about 2 hours of sleep. The medication wasn't doing much to calm my stomach. This went on all weekend. I hadn't had a good meal in days, nor did I desire one. My flight on Sunday was delayed due to a winter storm affecting the inbound flight from O'Hare. I'd missed the beginning of the meet and greet at this conference. On my way to the host hotel, some jerk ran a red light, forcing the car next to me into my rental car. My blood pressure was sky, rocketing by the time all of the insurance information and police forms were filled out. Thankfully, I'd fully protected the rental car this time. Normally, these meet and greets end around 10, and I strolled in at 9:30. A double scotch served neat began my downfall. Most of the people I knew had already fled, but there were still dozens milling around. Civil servants on the road like to party. I ended up at a table with several alcohol-impaired people. After my second round, I was a little woozy as well. One burly woman had to push herself close to me for a few more to join our table. My speed slalom was on the way to a medal. This woman was hugging my shoulder and giggling at every remotely cute thing I said. I should have stopped it, but I didn't. It wasn't long before we hit the dance floor and were slow dancing to songs that aren't meant to be slow danced. I was enjoying the feeling of serenity, and she was enjoying the feeling of my excitement. What was I thinking? She pushed me over the edge when she whispered, "I like to please men." At least we left the dance area alone, but quickly met up on my floor. When the door closed, I admired her little dance. "Let me take care of you," as she pushed my back onto the bed. Don't think about Peggy or what I did was so wrong. I doubt I could sit through 3 minutes of her talented work. As promised, she made me happy. I got rid of my clothes and then started teasing her. Reaching into her purse, she pulled out the protection and then put it on me. We tried several positions before she settled on one that suited her better. Anyone still awake in the neighboring rooms couldn't miss her squeal of satisfaction. She threw away my used protection, and then we fell asleep hugging each other. Somewhere in the middle of the night, I felt the magic movements bring my excitement back again. Another protection left, and she was with me meeting her needs. Satisfied, she made me happy again at the end. Out of everyone I've ever met, she did it the best. I was racked with guilt when I pried my eyes open in the morning. Never did get her name, at least I don't think I did. When I made it to the toilet, my gut couldn't take it, and I ended up with the dry heaves. As I showered, I realized I hadn't called Peggy since talking to her, while the police investigated the car accident. That's not like me. I caught her just before she left for her shift. She was absolutely pissed, and I guess I would have been too. Now wasn't the time to tell the truth, so the lies started. Plus, the next few days were each about 80 hours long. I just knew I'd never be able to keep my betrayal a secret from Peggy. She reads me like a book, and even my acquaintances noticed I was off of my normal cheery disposition. Whoever the lady was must have left, as I was never approached. Can't say I recognized her during any of the presentations either. My calls home every morning and night must have put Peggy on high alert. She knew as soon as I walked in the door that something was off. After I put my suitcase in the bedroom, she stood in the doorway, spill it. My eyes filled with tears as I tried to recall the speech I'd practiced. All I got out was, "I'm so sorry." When I left, I feared for my life. Scorned woman is not just a myth. The house was strewn with broken frames, chairs, lamps, and anything else that was not tied down. I was wrong, and she made sure I realized how bad I was. Peggy and I hadn't spoken much in the 2 weeks I'd been living in a low-priced motel by the interstate. That changed one night. "Daryl, I've made a decision. Meet me at El Burrito at 6 tonight." In a cold, emotionless directive. I would have answered, but Peggy hung up immediately. "I'm not sure how you feel before a shoot, but waiting at El Burrito, I was as nervous as a girl at a frat party." When Peggy entered, she refused my attempts to hold or kiss her. She was in all business mode. "I don't want to hear how sorry you are. You have no idea how much you have hurt me. I will tell you what it's going to take for us to get back together." Peggy opened her tablet, and soon I was looking at a social media page. The woman in the photo was wearing a Mardi Gras mask and very attractive clothes. Based on the size and shape of what was shown, I was pretty sure it was a picture of Peggy. It wasn't a selfie, so I hoped it wasn't taken by some guy she got revenge on. As I studied this profile with Peggy's stern face watching me, I caught the status married with hall pass. "Peggy, is this your profile page? What will our friends think?" No, I created a new account. It got over 1,000 replies the first night alone. I changed the wording to limit my suitors to those within 50 miles of here, but it's still getting around 100 replies every day. Lots of pictures of their junk. "Peggy, why don't you just go have a revenge fuck? I didn't set out to betray you, but that's what happened. Get it out of your system and let's forget this ever happened." Well, unlike you, I don't run to spend time with the first person who touches me. I want to make sure my romance is with someone worthy of me. I might have coffee or lunch with to see if there is a connection. You are invited to join, as I am not trying to hide anything from you. Once I decide, it will be my pleasure for a night or a long weekend, as you like. You say it was just one night, but why should I believe you? I need to think about this. Are you staying to eat? As long as you're buying. It was a very awkward dinner. Talking around the elephant in the room proved to be almost impossible. As we left Daryl, "When can I expect your answer? I want you back, but I don't know if I can do this. Does meeting here tomorrow at 6 work for you?" "Sure, bye." Walking away, she never looked back. I am so screwed. Plus, I tried to look at it from Peggy's point of view. If I found out she had a one-night stand, I would be crushed. I would ask myself, where did I go wrong? Was it just me, or did I do something? All these things, though imaginary, I hoped, gave me some sense of what I had done with Peggy. I just had communication. If she can forgive me, I guess I can hold on. It will only be communication, unless she really likes it. Why didn't I just control myself? Peggy and I met at 6, all business again. We ate in silence, even though I agreed she could have one hall pass. Little did I know that this was just the start. She'd plunged the knife deep into my heart, and now she was going to twist the blade. I moved home Saturday morning. Peggy was glued to her computer for several hours. She turned down my invitation for dinner out, so I ordered pizza delivered. This is not the real Daryl. I still have 200 unread messages. I will probably want to talk to a few of these men. Don't worry, I'll do it in front of you. I'm not going to sneak around like someone we know. If that should have cheered me up, it didn't. It was killing me to know she was going to spend time with someone else, but this form of torture made my stomach knot up. Peggy was sitting in her recliner, as I sat in mine, when her burner cell phone chimed. "Hello, yes it is. Thanks for calling. Tell me what you have planned about our night together." "Really? You think you're good for 4 times? I doubt that," she giggled. After listening for a few more minutes, she ended the call. I didn't say anything. I go upstairs and use my device. I will think about what he promised me to do if I agreed to meet him. I didn't join her in the bedroom that night. Instead, I decided to sleep on the sofa. Every night was a repeat. She was twisting the knife with every call she received. It soon progressed to video chatting. "Oh my, you weren't kidding. That is impressive." My decision was not to spend time with Peggy until she was done with this nonsense. It only seemed to make her more abrasive. Some of the callers began calling uninvited. Peggy shut them down with the "Don't call me again. I'll let you know if you're the one I want. Wait for me to tell you to call. Got it." Then another call, only this one was invited to talk. "No, this is a one-time event. That's right, even if you're the best I've ever had. Although I'm sure he still has his girlfriend's number somewhere, so I can keep yours." Little by little, my love was turning to hate. "When are you going to decide, Peggy?" "When I'm good and ready. When will we be together again? When will you be in the bedroom with me again?" "Not until you're done with this hall pass revenge." Well, I can just keep this up for a long time. What are you going to do then? Answer me. You started it, and I planned to make you pay. You destroyed me. You have no idea how much I'm still hurting. I'll make it so painful you'll never forget it. If I stayed, I'd have said something irretraceable, so I left and booked a night in a motel. That just made the next few nights of vetting suitors even worse. One evening it was, good question, let me ask. He wants to know if he can do something that you and I haven't tried. Have you experimented with your girlfriend? He's not responding, so I guess I can try anything I want. The next evening, no, it will not be without protection. I don't care how clean you say you are, although I will make you happy without him. Another night and I was nearing my breakup. I guess you're right. It's no different than watching an adult movie. Wow, you shot so high and far. No, I'm not interested in your brother joining. The end came the night the conversation was, well, I think you'll be there to protect me. Let me check. I flipped her off and spent the night in a motel again. I'd had enough. Taking the next day off of work, I moved out. One last pass through the house, I was convinced I'd taken everything I wanted. Nothing about our time together left with me. My wedding band and a copy of the petition for divorce were lying on the bed. My note was simple: you win, enjoy your life. I was too immature to get married. Sorry I was unable to honor my wedding vows. Hopefully I'll treat my next wife better. Enjoy your hall pass. Daryl, although I hadn't really been spiteful about anything, I did go online and change a real social media account status to divorced with hall pass. Peggy's discovery. It was Daryl's night to fix dinner, but his car wasn't in the garage. Checking my phone, I saw a bunch of messages from my friends, but no calls or texts from Daryl. I hope he's all right. Once inside, I dropped my keys on the counter, kicked my heels off, and fluffed my hair. The cork came off of the wine bottle, and I poured myself a healthy dose of bliss. My attempt to reach Daryl went to voicemail. Folding a leg underneath, I sat down in my recliner. Time to catch up on my missed emails and texts. Hey girl, WTF, call me from my best friend. Wonder what's up with that? Sorry to hear about that. I'm here for you. From one of the women I work with. I just saw her at lunch. The one from my mother was cryptic as well. Isn't this the kind of thing you should have warned me about? So I called. Hi mom, why didn't you tell me? Tell you what, about your divorce. What divorce? Daryl and I are going through a rough patch, but we're not getting divorced. Then why is your status divorced with hall pass? Hold on, as I madly launched the app, I changed it back to married. I need to go mom, and hung up before hearing her response. Daryl wasn't returning my calls or texts. Almost all of the emails and texts were my followers wishing me well and offering support. My eyes were misty and my limbs were shaking. With awkward steps I raced into our bedroom. The ring and papers on the bed were like magnets. My heart shattered when I realized I'd driven Daryl away. I tried his phone dozens of times. Calling Daryl's mother proved fruitless. Hey mom, have you heard from Daryl? Yes dear, I have. He asked that I not tell you where he's headed. How are you? Devastated. We were working through an issue and he just gave up. You have to let him know how much I love him. No guarantees, Peggy. I've never seen him so distant. It was like his eyes were hollow. His responses were one or two words, and he couldn't wait to leave. Said you won, whatever that means. Getting divorced had no emotion in it at all. I sure hope you two can work things out. My tears were flowing. Me too, mom. Me too. Some of his clothes were gone. I was heartbroken all over again. How dare he cut and run? It was a rough night. My friends were calling, but I let them all go to voicemail. The call I prayed for never happened. I awoke wearing the same clothes I'd worn to work the day before. There were telltale signs that I'd not gotten a good night's sleep. My eyes were drooping, and it took extra makeup to make myself presentable. Work was horrible as word spread of my marital crisis. I'd find myself daydreaming and wiping away a tear or two. Finally, my boss sent me home telling me to get my head screwed on straight or start using vacation time. Calling where Daryl worked just made me more miserable. He'd taken a sabbatical and they wouldn't disclose any other details. I thought it might be Daryl ringing the doorbell, but I soon discovered that I'd been officially served. That burner phone rang several times a day. I finally closed my social media account and left my phone turned off. The only thing I've really learned is that guys will say anything to get a free night of adventure. I wanted love. I wanted my life back. The pain of Daryl's betrayal was nothing like the pain I felt now as I contemplated life without him. My hopes and dreams of having his children sent me into fits of hysterical sobbing. What if I refused to sign? My attorney said it will go through anyway. It will just take longer and cost more. How about mandatory counseling? Not likely, as you have no children. Courts have better things to do than mitigate disputes between two people who can't get along. But we do get along. Which is why he filed for divorce. It's a misunderstanding. Can't you see if his lawyer will get him to at least call me? I'll mention it in my update to the court. Are you signing or not? No. I don't want a divorce, and it will have to be granted without my agreeing to it. Have it your way. I'll send you this month's invoice. Good day. Daryl's time away. I spent 2 weeks at my uncle's condo west of Phoenix. My cash was running short, and I didn't want to tip my hand as to my location by using my credit cards. Do they even still work? Most of my time was spent walking the fairways in Sun City. Playing golf seemed to keep me distracted. My self-analysis had me believing that if I truly loved Peggy, then I never would have been tempted. Until that fateful night, I really believed that I loved her with all I had. Am I really that shallow of a person? How could I have been so weak? I was right when I wrote to Peggy that I was immature. The other side of the coin was how evil Peggy was setting up her whole past thing. Did she go through with it after I left? Just the thought of it made me nauseous, but I brought it on myself. Still, I never expected Peggy to torment me like that. Had she just left for one evening and not returned until the following night, we'd still be together. Living for 2 weeks without my phone turned on was tough. I learned that I yearned for social media and watching meaningless videos by people I'd never met, nor would ever want to meet. I vowed to cure myself of those habits in my new life. Once back in town, it was close to midnight, so I stayed at the motel by the interstate again. Same clerk even greeted me with, "Hey, where you been?" In the morning, I turned my phone back on, voicemail box full. Text message limit reached. I called my mom and she invited me over for breakfast. My dad had already left for work. "Morning, Mom." As I gave her a gentle hug, "You look a lot better than the last time I saw you." Yeah, I've had a long hard look at myself in the mirror. I didn't like what I saw. Ready to tell me what brought this on? I cheated on Peggy. As a condition of staying together, I gave her a hall pass. That wasn't enough for her, and the mental abuse took its toll on me. She's never going to let me forget it, so I decided that ending the marriage was the best for both of us. Since she calls here every day, I doubt that she feels the same way. She says that she won't sign the divorce papers. Why? So she can torment me some more. I hit my breaking point. She wanted me to suffer, and suffer I did. But married people don't do what I did, nor what she was doing. I know I have a lot of growing up to do, but so does she. Well, she's come over a few times and cried on my shoulder. She very much regrets driving you away. Have you talked to her since you left? No, didn't have the stomach for it. You need to sit down and have this same talk with her. Come to some understanding of what the future holds for both of you. Time for you two to kiss and make up or go your separate ways. She's hurting, you're hurting. What a pair you two make. It's obvious to me that you two are still in love with each other. Plus here, I am sitting my car in front of my house waiting for Peggy to get home from work. With an hour to kill, I waded through the emails I'd missed. I could almost feel the heartbreak as Peggy begged me to come home. God, was threat of the hall pass. The most recent email, she even told me that she'd never bring up my cheating or hall passes again, and that it could be part of a post-nuptial agreement. Her voicemails were dripping with angst. They brought tears to my eyes. Reading her texts confirmed my feelings that she really wanted to work things out. Quitting time came and still no Peggy. I was about to drive away when a tire company truck stopped at an angle in front of my car. Peggy leaped from the passenger seat and opened my door. To say that I was confused was an understatement. Is this her new boyfriend? Were all of her messages a sham? You're back. I love you, I love you, I love you. Then who's that? You said my tires needed replacing, so I dropped my car off after work. They offer a courtesy drop, off and pick up. They'll come get me when it's completed. Who did you think it was? Never mind. Can we talk? Yes, here, in the house, you name it. How about on the porch? Peggy raced up to the porch swing and was beaming as I approached. I'm so sorry that I drove you away. I was wrong and can only hope that you'll forgive me. As her eyes reddened, we're two screwed up people. I need help understanding how I could have ever hurt the one that I love. Would you consider seeing a marriage counselor with me? If Peggy was any stronger, her hug would have broken some of my ribs. Epilogue, marriage counseling, alone and together, opened some scabs, but this time we stitched up the wounds and applied the appropriate medication. I explained my downfall in minute detail, and Peggy detailed how she never did. Anything other than phone calls and video chatting before shutting down that account. We cried, we hugged, we're going to survive. I had my attorney pull the application for a divorce. True to her word, Peggy has never mentioned my cheating or a hall pass again. Neither have I. I'm a frickin' saint. Around other women now, I've learned my lesson. 3 years later, we decided to become a family, and in a few months we'll welcome our first child. My mother still says she's never seen two people more in love, flawed people capable of making mistakes, but still very much in love. Subscribe to our channel so that your second C, Gaff, doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story. Because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one,